everyone, today I'm going to show you a simple 7-step process on how to declutter your email account. Before we get started, allow me to introduce myself for all the newbies around here. Hi, I'm Hava Schultz, the host of this YouTube channel, a place where I provide inspiration and information on how to create a life you love living every day. I have long debated whether decluttering my inbox would be worth the time that it takes, especially because I have only gone through my email accounts maybe a few times in the past 14-ish years that I've had my own email addresses, which means that a lot has built up and clearly it hasn't actually stopped my ability to use my emails. As you already know from the fact that this video exists, I did decide to do it, but before I explain how I did it, I want to explain why I did it so that you understand the value in decluttering your inbox too. Especially if you don't realize how much work this is until you're halfway through, knowing why you're doing it will definitely help keep you motivated to see the project through. Here are my top 3 reasons for why I decided to declutter my email account. Firstly, I thought about storage. Gmail provides 15 gigabytes of space for free, and when I started this project on the email I use most, I was filling about 7 gigabytes of that space. At first, I did not think that this was a convincing enough reason to go through my emails because even though I've decluttered a few times over the past several years, I'm still only at 50% of that capacity. However, when I thought about the fact that I use this email for networking and my creative career, I realized that as my career picks up, I might get more emails than I can even imagine right now, and I don't want this inbox to fill because a full inbox means you can't receive any more emails, and I definitely don't want to miss opportunities just because my email inbox is full. If storage matters to you, whether it's for a similar reason to what I just said or something else, scroll down to the bottom of the page and check out how much storage you are currently using on your email account. And if you make a note of this figure, it'll be fun to compare it to your end result so you can actually see your quantitative progress. The second reason I decided to carve out the time to declutter my email accounts is for ease in the future. If storage doesn't matter to you, what you might care about is that by getting rid of all the emails that you never need to look at again, it'll be easier to actually find the ones you may need to reference in the future. Think about it like decluttering your stuff. When you have too much stuff and lots of clutter, you can't find what you actually need, but by getting rid of the excess, it's much easier to find what you need to get your hands on. The third reason, and probably the most compelling reason for me to declutter my email account, was for peace of mind. I've been on a minimalism kick lately, and the idea of just keeping emails for no reason really bothered me because whether it's in my physical space or my digital space, I want to know that everything that I am holding on to is intentional. It's for a decent reason. When I started this project, I had thousands and thousands of emails, so being able to delete thousands and thousands and thousands of emails felt like such a release, and I'm so excited to share my method with you in this video so that you can experience that release too. A bonus reason to declutter your email account is that you can have a positive effect on the environment by regulating your emails. Stick around to the very end of the video to find out what the environmental impact of emails is. Yes, your emails may be polluting the planet. Without further ado, let's get into why you clicked on this video in the first place. I'm going to show you how to declutter your email account. Since I use Gmail, that's the platform that I'll be using to model the steps in this video, but I'm assuming that all of the email providers have some sort of similar features or interface. But if there is any variance in the steps or the exact instructions on how to do something, go ahead and just recognize that you can find the way to do it on yours, and there is still tons of value in this video for you, regardless of the specific details. My email is organized the way Gmail defaulted it, so I have 4 tabs: primary, social, promotions, and updates. You may have a 5th since forums is another popular option on Gmail, and I think that there may even be some other tab options on other email providers. The first step to declutter your email account is to start where you always start when you open your email, which is the primary tab. Within the primary tab, we're gonna start by deleting the masses. Scan the senders in your primary tab to see if you can find anyone or anything you're subscribed to that you may want to get rid of a bunch of emails from. When you find an entity like that, go to the search bar and enter the sender's name so that all the emails they have ever sent you, other than the ones that have been deleted of course, come up. If you've never really read emails from this sender or don't have a strong desire to open their emails in the future, click on one of the emails, scroll to the bottom, and click unsubscribe. The ability to unsubscribe from emails is actually a law, so 99% of the time you should be able to locate a button somewhere to click to unsubscribe, even if they make it hard to find. Then navigate back to the big list of emails from that one sender and click the checkbox at the top of the page to select all the emails at the same time. If you feel like you want to read through the subject lines just to make sure that you don't delete something that would be worth revisiting later, go ahead and read through them and uncheck anything you think you might want to keep. Then with the majority selected, go ahead and click the trash can icon. This is a great method to delete a massive number of emails quickly, and I just taught it to you here in step 1, but you can apply it again in the future throughout this process. Return to the primary tab and repeat this process until you've found all the subscriptions that you want to delete their old emails or unsubscribe from them completely. Step 2 is to go through all the individual emails in the primary tab. Once you've gotten rid of the emails that can be dealt with in groups, go back to the first page of the primary tab so you can start sifting through things without all the clutter of newsletters and other email subscriptions. If you didn't have too many subscriptions filling your primary tab, you might skip step 1 altogether and just start here on step 2. At this point, you should just be seeing emails that were written completely customized for you, to you, in a specific scenario, rather than a massive send out. You could actually follow the same method as step 1 if you want to search the names or email addresses of people you've corresponded with in the past to go through all the correspondence with each of those people all at once, or you could go through it chronologically, which is personally what I prefer to do. Just as a heads up, this is the most time-consuming step of the entire process, but of course the amount of time it takes you is going to depend on just how many emails you have built up. Like I said before, I have gone through my email account a couple times in the past several years, though not nearly as streamlined and organized of a process, but if you've never gone through it, then you may have a more daunting task ahead of you, or you may have a less daunting task ahead of you if you don't use email as actively as I do. To streamline this process a little more, especially if you're going to go through it chronologically like I did, which is basically going through your emails one by one, I would definitely recommend what I call the sender before subject method. I don't specifically remember learning this concept, but it definitely seems like something that already exists. The premise is that as you go through your emails, first look at the sender's name, because that's going to give you an idea of how important or what the relevance of that email might be, and only then look at the subject line to see if it's worth keeping or deleting. For example, if I see my grandma's name, I know that it's going to be about something casual. She's never emailed me something really important. So while I still need to make sure that I can delete the email, before I even look at the subject line, I'm halfway there. As a counter example, if I see an email from a professional contact, I may need to really evaluate that email before deciding to get rid of it. It might contain quality advice, or just be helpful to go to the search bar and search their name so I can pull up all my past correspondence with them to refresh my memory on our points of contact. But still, I need to read the subject line to make sure it's worth keeping before I just keep it. If the sender's name and subject line aren't enough to figure out whether I should keep or get rid of an email, this is when I'll open it up to decide. I only do this when I really need to and try to open as few emails as possible, because even though it may be quick to just open one, multiply that by the thousands and thousands of emails I had, and that time can really add up. Especially when I started the process, I didn't know how many I was going to need to open up. If I opened just 600 emails and each one took me about 30 seconds, that would be 300 minutes or 5 hours. And like I keep saying, I had thousands of emails in my account as far back as 2014. In the end, I did not open thousands and thousands of emails. I did open many. And this step of the process, step 2 alone, took me over 7 hours. So like I said before, this is the most time-consuming part of the process, so do not stop here. Once you get through this, the worst is behind you. If you're feeling inspired by this video so far, go ahead and hit that like button, and at the end of the video, click this little white eye in the circle at the top of the screen, or just scroll down to the description to see a list of videos that I have handpicked for you. I think you'll especially like my computer decluttering video. Now back to this video, because we've still got 5 more steps to go. Step 3 is the social tab. Based on what Gmail's algorithm puts in my social tab, probably almost everything here can be deleted. For me, a lot of it was confirmations from LinkedIn about applying to job or network requests. I imagine this is also where a lot of you may have emails from Facebook, Instagram, or other social media platforms, but I don't because I've gone into those platforms specifically throughout time and basically ensured in my settings there that they will not email me. I guess you could actually consider this a bonus tip. To keep your email decluttered, go to the communication preferences in the settings of your social media apps and make sure that emails are turned off. To clean out the social tab, although you could use the same method as in step 1, because you can most likely delete everything here, I would recommend just clicking the box at the top of the page to select all. Use the sender before subject method to scan through and see if anything needs consideration. If anything does, just go ahead and uncheck the box on that specific email, and when you finish scanning the emails, click the trash can. Then you can go back for anything that needed a double checking. You can decide whether you should keep or delete it accordingly. Repeat this process until you have encountered all the emails in the social tab, and just note that if you do have any emails that you're gonna keep, you're gonna wanna go ahead and uncheck that box every time you select all, but this should be easy because those emails will come up at the top of the page. In step 4, we're gonna go through the promotions tab. The contents here could look like the primary or the social tab depending on what you're looking at, and for me it was a blend. Because this is a place where I receive emails from stores and stuff, if one caught my eye, I would go ahead and use the search bar method to pull up all the emails from that sender and deal with them all at once. This is also the time to open up an email and unsubscribe from the mailing list if you aren't interested in receiving these emails anymore. This is directly tied to the carbon footprint of our emails, so I want to remind you to stick around to the end of the video if you want to learn more about that. This tab is also the place where I found e-receipts and current shipping updates, so I wanted to proceed with a little more caution than the social tab, but I would still go through, do the sender before subject method, and delete away. Step 5 is to go through the updates tab. I'm not really sure what the difference between the promotions and the updates tab is supposed to be because mine looked essentially the same, which makes this step really easy to explain because step 5 is simply to repeat step 4. That said, if your updates tab does look unique to the others, I've explained enough methods and ways of going through to delete emails that you should be able to handle this one on your own. Also, if you have any other tabs, address them now before you move on to the 6th step, which is the sidebar. Going through all the tabs in the first 5 steps felt like a lot of work. And it was, because it was the bulk of the project. But in an effort to be thorough, let's not forget about the sidebar with additional categories. Most of these were already addressed in the tabs. Going through the starred, snoozed, important, sent, and categories were embedded in the first 5 steps because the emails were in both these categories and your inbox, which we've already gone through. Technically, if you sent an email but didn't receive a response, I don't think that would show up in both your sent spot and your inbox, but I am afraid to just mass delete the sent emails because then I might delete my side of all email conversations. Plus, going through this in a very careful way to make sure that I don't do that could end up being so unreasonably time consuming that it's just not worth it, especially when, as I continue to use my email, this problem is likely to just build back up again. So if you have any ideas on how to both cautiously and efficiently go through the sent category, I am all ears. Drop a comment with your suggestion. For now, I've just decided it is not worth the headache. Drafts is the main category in the sidebar that you'll want to comb through. I had to read each subject line and open several of them to figure out whether I should keep or get rid of them. And what I found is that I had a lot of emails that I just forgot to send or just never sent, and they were so old I simply discarded them. But there was actually one email I found that I had written in October, and I decided to just update it and send it on. Other drafts are intentional drafts I keep as templates for emails I send out periodically. For example, this is my 9th school year tutoring, and some years I like to send out an email to my professional network within the tutoring arena just to update them on the business and let them know that, hey, I'm still here if you want to pass on a referral. Rather than trying to come up with a brand new email from scratch every year, I simply go back to my most recent templates and then I simply tweak them to fit the current information of the current school year. Anyway, I had 36 drafts to start and I felt like that was a lot of drafts and I pared it down to 13. You'll probably need to go through your drafts one by one like I did, but hopefully compared to what you've already done, the number of drafts you're looking through is just a drop in the bucket. After finishing drafts, click more to reveal the rest of the sidebar. My chats category was totally empty, but if you have anything in there, you can address it at this point. Your scheduled category, completely skip it because if you've written an email and scheduled it, obviously you want to send it. And don't worry about all mail because we've been breaking it down and dealing with all our mail by categories. I started with over 11,000 emails in the all mail section. To me, that would just be way too overwhelming to try to tackle all at once, especially when it's not sorting things like sent versus a store subscription versus an email from your grandma. Then go to your spam folder and treat it the way I told you to treat your social tab. Select all, scan to see if there's anything worth keeping, and then delete. Even though we're done with step 6, the reason we haven't left the sidebar yet is because we still need to go through the trash. I know, it sounds gross, but there shouldn't be any banana peels or used tissues in this trash. For more comic relief, go ahead and click this video to see my trash can rescue mission. My settings say that everything that's in here for more than 30 days are automatically trashed, and I think this is just the default, so what you're seeing here is for the most part just from this project. If you're worried that you might have accidentally deleted something worth keeping, this is the time when you'll want to scan through all the emails in here to double check your work, and then assuming that you deleted only what you intended to, click the magic button, empty trash now. By the way, I had to do this twice because there was so much in here, thousands of emails, that it could only do so many at first, and when I refreshed the page, there were still some in there, so I had to click it again. So just recognize that you might actually need to empty your trash more than once. Now we're almost done, but before you go, I want to remind you of how to actually see the progress you made on this project, give you the information you need to stay connected with me, and as promised, tell you the environmental impact of emails. To see how much you deleted, you may need to refresh the page first or open a completely new window and open your email again there, which is what I did. Then scroll to the bottom of the page and look at what your storage use is. Comparing it to the starting figure is pretty cool. I started with 7 gigabytes being used and got it down to 4.52 gigabytes, just 4.5 gigabytes. That means I deleted over a third of the emails I was keeping, and probably a lot of that 4.5 gigabytes is sent emails with attachments that I'm just unsure about deleting. This should definitely buy me time from having a full inbox, or hopefully prevent it completely. And if nothing else, it feels so good to have released all of that from my digital world. Oh, and a surprising thing that happened when I went through all these emails is that I was brought back in time. As I saw the emails that I was sending, or the people I was corresponding with, or the subjects of the emails, it brought me back the further back I went, where I was kind of reliving and experiencing my time in college and even in high school, and it was such an experience, and I actually got a little bit emotional at some parts. It made me really grateful for where I am today, because sometimes when you look back, it reminds you of how far you've come. This process was surprisingly a great experience to be grateful for where I am now, and for some of the good times. Like, there was some emails from a really cool trip I went on in 2018, which you can click this playlist here if you want to see a bunch of amazing travel videos. And even though that's over and that already happened, when I was seeing those emails, I was grateful for the experience. So this process actually brought me a lot of unexpected gratitude. If you found value in this video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And to receive daily inspiration from me, go ahead and find me on Instagram. My username is Hava Schultz, and send me a DM letting me know that you came from this video. Also, I've got an email about how to organize your email now that it's decluttered on the way. So this is another reason to subscribe, and especially turn on notifications so that you'll be alerted as soon as that video for the next step of the process is up, so you can keep making progress. Go ahead and comment below if you are excited about that video that's coming, or if you just have some other request, or of course, if you have any other questions or comments. As promised, here is the rundown of the environmental impact of your emails. Ovo is an international energy company, and relatively recently they did a study on the environmental impact of emails in the UK, and in 2019 the reported findings showed that the average spam email is worth 0.3 grams of carbon dioxide. How, you ask? Emails are stored in servers, and servers require energy to run. More emails means more servers are needed, and the more servers there are means there's more energy that's needed to run them, which means more carbon dioxide is released. Whew. The study reported that 64 million unnecessary emails are sent each day in Britain. This equates to 23,475 metric tons of carbon. To put this in perspective, 16,433 metric tons, which is just less than 75% of that 23,475, equates to 81,000 flights from the UK to Madrid, which I believe is a little over 2 hours of a flight. That is mind-blowing. Like, how many times could you fly all the way around the world with that much carbon emitted? That environmental impact is just from the UK, which has about 67 million people, and the population of the United States is 330 million people. And these are just 2 countries out of so many that use email heavily every day. Whether this sounds massive or totally insignificant to you, unsubscribe from email lists that you don't want to be on. They're emails you don't want to see anyway, so having to see them and then deal with getting rid of them unnecessarily clutters your mind, and as you now know, it clutters the planet by indirectly emitting CO2. Another couple things to keep in mind on this note in an effort to help the planet through emails is just to avoid sending emails that are really pointless or not necessary, and try to consolidate your messages into fewer emails when it's possible. I linked the press release of this study in the description in case you want to learn more about it. These findings are proof that nearly everything we do could have a carbon impact. Sometimes we just have to dig a little deeper to find it. This is why it's so important to live a life intentionally and with an interest of awareness so that we have a complete understanding of the repercussions of things we might do, whether it's on the environment or in any other way. Whether you declutter your email inbox for your mental health, practicality, or to go green, know that you're doing a lot of good for both yourself and the planet. You can always come back and review this video in the future if you need a reminder and freshen up on how to declutter your email inbox, so I would recommend clicking the little save button below so you can find it when you need it. Thanks so much for watching to the very end, and I am sure I will see you in the next one. Bye!